Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. This is DGI-409 and joining me is my co-host Sridhar Chityalaji. Sridharji, Namaskar and welcome to P Guru's channel.
Namaskar and good evening and good morning to everybody. Happy to be here again today after an exciting session with last evening.
Yes, indeed, it has gone viral. Many people loved the way the banter happened back and forth, sir. Let's hope that we have more such occasions where you can come in and weigh in, and we can make this thing even more lively. Sridharji, one small thing about what is happening today. Russia-India strategic corridor. Is this something like a land access corridor, or is it something more like an ideological thing where they are saying that, okay, for some of these things, this is how these two countries will work synchronously? Can you throw some light on it, sir?
Yeah, I think one of the topics that we discussed and we left open is what would Vladimir Putin visit or meeting with Mr. Modi cover? Okay.
Yes.
So it's a broad. So when I use the word corridor, it entails broad range of topics that they plan to discuss. First and foremost among them is a very strong energy partnership, which India is already. I think Russia has moved to number 2. That's number 1. The second thing that they're going to do is establish the rupee ruble trade mechanism. That's number 2. Number 3, we'll cover this in the Vladimir Putin speech. And Russia is now establishing a payment system. They want India to be very much part of that payment system, both on the G2G transactions and B2B transactions on ruble rupee clearance and settlement. That's number 3. Number 4 is that there's a broad range of agreements taking place between Russia and India, not just on the defense sector in terms of the manufacturing of drones, other types of, including what we call as the missile systems, Patriot missile shield type of systems, and then other sophisticated technologies. It is going past the MiG and Sukhoi. So that's the other major discussion that's going to happen. He wants to sustain. Russia's economy has shrunk 3.1% last year and continues to shrink. He wants India to be an anchor supporter so that the Russian economy can continue to be sustained. He wants India to also import cereals, minerals, commodities, and other types of things. So that's another item that he will cover. And finally, I think that he will also say, if your Indian companies are willing to refine my crude, that I can supply to the appropriate countries which are willing to trade and actually settle through this ruble rupee mechanism, then I very much welcome and I'll give more business to you. So this is where the discussion that is going between India and Russia, and nothing to do with Ukraine.
Thank you, sir. While we are at it, can you throw some light on the Sakhalin Island partnership? There were 2 lines that India also owned in part. Part of it was Exxon, I think, exited that, and that space, whatever the partnership, that what stake that Exxon had, I think got divvied up between Japan and India. Do you have any update on that, sir?
I think that's continuing. I think we covered this on one of the DGIs, if you recall. I think ONGC, Indian Oil, and
Overseas.
maybe there are 2 other. 4 of them are going in and taking the components of that stake. That's very much within the parameter of the ongoing, what you call commercialization of the event that is going on between the 2 governments.
See, this is the first time I'm seeing India, putting a stake outside of India and having ownership so that they can at least control some portion of their crude requirements by, drill, baby, drill kind of stuff that they can do themselves. I think this is a good, important advancement. I think now I'm sure West is having second thoughts. I was talking to some people, industry leaders in a meeting, and the semiconductor industry, for example, lost 20% of its business when the United States told everyone to get out. This happened a few months ago. I'm sure you remember that. So 20% is a big hit for them. And that's now beginning to reflect as by way of layoffs and other things. Even though in US has promised that there will be the US will help the semiconductor industry in the United States by moving things back from China to US. It's an asymmetric relationship. Some are benefiting, others none at all. So there is this thing that, okay, you forced us out, all of us got out, but only some of us are benefiting. So you'll hear more about this in the days and weeks to come. We'll keep you posted on that. Let's move on to the never ending war. Siddharji, Biden lands in Kiev yesterday. We touched upon it yesterday. 5 hours spent there while missiles and other uh, equipment was going off somewhere around Kiev. How did they manage to come out of it unscathed, sir? I mean, did Russia did not know about this?
No. So here's what we are going to say, that Biden administration informed Russia in advance that Biden will be visiting, and therefore to stay away and not to create a war. So Vladimir Putin abstained from bombing that area so Mr. Biden could have a kind of a political staging of this great event. So this is why I use the word, hard missiles versus soft missiles. He had a shield from Russia on hard missiles, but he has no shield on soft missiles that is landing on him domestically.
Well, on the never-ending war, we are continuing to see the West pump in more and more money into Ukraine. Ukraine as a country is devastated, and if the war doesn't end, how does it benefit the people of Ukraine, sir? I'll give you an example. You remember we were testing D-Star, and there were some vertical apps that were being developed in one of the university campuses, which is exactly the eye of the storm, so to say, Mykolaiv. And I have no visibility on where the team is, except for a few people. We don't even know where they have gone. So Ukraine has got devastated. Do you see any kind of tunnel, a light in sight at the end of the tunnel, or this tunnel is going to be a never-ending, sir?
Based on the current visit and based on all the rhetoric and that is going on, I think we may be, because since you're asking questions, some of the topics which are there will
No,
probably jump.
go back, sir. You take the floor, sir. You take the floor. Please walk us
So,
through. Yeah.
here's the story. So Biden goes and says, fight the war, we are with you, we are sinking another $500 million, we're going to give you more capacity to fight. And the Ukrainian army says, these new tanks that we have got is like driving a Mercedes Benz. Okay, so therefore they think that they can fight. Number one. Number two, the EU is setting up a consortium to procure ammunition and supply to Ukraine so that they can fight the war. So that's number two. Poland has agreed to support this specific war and provide necessary kind of equipment. Number three. Number four, lo and behold, why Japan is getting into this entanglement, we don't know. So the next G7 meet, remember, next G7 meet, which is the country that's going to be part of the G7 and invited to show Ukraine. So Mr. Kishida has invited Ukraine to be part of that meeting. So this guy is fighting a proxy war between willing countries which are willing to take this war forward at the destruction of Ukraine. Ukraine firmly believes that they're going to be funded irrespective and that they can rebuild Ukraine, and Russia will not win Ukraine, he may grab some territory. So therefore, under these circumstances, I don't see a negotiated end in the near future until there is a major catastrophic event.
Sridharji, let's take a small step back philosophically, right? When Trump was in power, it was China that was the main adversary. And the moment Biden's administration takes hold, it's suddenly Russia the adversary. What is this party-based adversarial politics of US, sir? I mean, either you are friendly or you're not a friendly one. How can somebody switch 180 degrees? I'm at a little bit of a loss to understand the philosophy itself, sir. Now, people say that the war with Russia is more war on petrol. gas and petrol, that Russia kept a lot of the American companies out of its gas fields, and this is their way of fighting back. I don't know, sir. I'm just being ignorant here. So Russia is now found a way around this. The Western Europe also realizes that they can't just go on, being fed on American oil also, because America is depleting the strategic petroleum reserve. Why isn't the American politicians asking about this? They're down by half the SPR, strategic petroleum reserve.
So I think what you're witnessing, sorry if I'm impolite, it's a BS about this oil. Okay, intelligence within the current administration believes that they have information which says Russia is hell bent on recreating the 1991 Soviet Union, some form of Soviet Union. Okay, whether it includes Moldova, whether it includes Belarus, it is believed Belarus would be the first country, Belarus, Moldova, Ukraine, Georgia, etc., etc. So they firmly believe that Russia, Vladimir Putin is very sore from the Boris Yeltsin time. And this is the theory, intelligence that has been fed into the administration. This is the root cause of this specific war. And they have fed this also into NATO. So NATO, West, and United States, United States is part of NATO, broadly the West believes. Therefore, we have to stop Russia at any cost in terms of achieving this objective. This is the purpose of this war. It's nothing to do with energy, it's nothing to do with gas, nothing to do with any of the other stuff.
Thank you, sir. I told you, I prefaced my question with an ignorant in the beginning. I'm willing to be educated. So sometimes I might give you a point of view, which, you can always rebut it. The viewer is richer.
To stir the pot. So that's what you're trying to do.
So let's move on to Ohio. Now, this is a major catastrophe. And from what I am reading, there is also gross negligence that led to this accident. And then water got mixed with toxic chemicals. Walk us through what is happening, sir, now. And now there's a major storm headed the United States. The entire United States is going to get a serious amount of snow and rain starting tomorrow. Is this going to make it worse in Ohio?
So let's kind of, parse this. There are two separate incidents. Okay, Bedford and East Palestine, 70 miles away apart. Okay, now EPA is going to make a visit at long last on February 21st. Okay, because there is heavy contamination both on the soil and in water, and it is flowing through. The mainstream media is absolutely negligent on bringing out this issue. Okay, Pete Buttigieg, who is supposed to be this guy who is...
Buttigieg, yeah.
So what's he doing? He said, well, there's been one death. We have FEMA issues. He didn't do FEMA. But eventually, he is now beginning to realize this is getting hot. So he's sending the person. So this is this issue, which I'm told that, huge amount of toxic waste mixed in the soil. Second, millions of liters of oil contaminated with chemicals and stains, but not kind of reported. Now let's this is around that area. We will get to know more. What we are giving you is snippets of information, which we have reasonably kind of validated. As far as the second piece is concerned, it's happening not too far. Mainstream media reporting one blast. No, there were two blasts. First, a minor blast, followed by a major blast. Two blasts. And this is according to some reliable sources. There were two blasts. It has destroyed the factory. It has effectively destroyed the factory. Investigations are still underway. Before we come to a conclusion that it is some kind of an accident, let's wait for some more data to flow through.
It's very sobering. See, this is the first time I'm hearing about what happened in Bedford. I was always thinking about East Palestine. That was the area that was uh, in the news. So that's alarming, sir. Let's wait and see how things play out. Now, India's foreign exchange reserves dipped marginally to 566.94 billion as the central bank sells dollars to shore up Indian rupee to stabilize the currency. Sridharji, India has made two huge purchases, 500 aircraft each by Air India as well as Indigo Airline. That should also take make a dent, isn't it?
No, I think they always offset some of this with, some of the, exports money that they have earned and kept it aside. And sometimes they even may make rupee payments for
Hmm.
these types of transactions. This specific one has to do with the central bank liquidating some of their FX positions, especially the US dollar is weak, to make sure that there is sufficient rupee liquidity to stabilize currency, current and future in the markets. This is the reason why they have sold, and they have also calculated what their requirement for the future is. Keeping it in mind, I think that they have done the wise decision. I also looked at, sir, the future markets, what the 1 year rates, 1 month to 12 months forward rates look like in the INR. Fortunately for Indians, the rate is still hovering around that 82.7 to 82.88 band. So obviously, all these things were kept in mind as they liquidated some of the positions.
Some say that it might appreciate, so you don't see that happening in the next 12 months, Indian rupee.
I'm saying to you that in the forward rates, based on what I'm seeing in the markets, this is what it is pointing to. We can actually, in the next DGI, we can throw 1 month, 2 month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months chart, so the viewers can get the benefit of what the bid and ask for in INR is.
Sir, see, the India has now gotten into a new industry, which I think DGI has highlighted, which is refining. Seriously, I mean, this is all a lot of NRI amount. I mean, foreign exchange that comes in because of the refining business. So as India becomes less and less as India bridges the balance between imports and exports, that will reflect in the rupee appreciating, don't you think?
I think that the only problem is the interest rates. The
Hmm.
hike in the interest rates has a dent on the currency. Okay, so the US rates are inching towards the 4%,
Right.
and which means you can take another plus 4% to the Indian prime lending rate. That has a direct consequence on the INR. My belief is that Fed will continue to push the rates because they have not been able to contain the inflation using this monetary policy. I believe they will finish somewhere between 5 to 5.5% before they start. Imagine the consequential effect of that on the INR as well as the Indian rates. Now, what India has also done, just to kind of wrap up this part of it, is that a lot of this using UPI, a lot of retail payments are now beginning to happen directly linked. So in the process, they don't need to worry about the issue around paying in dollars or euros using the precious FX reserve. So this is the challenge. This is the reason why the rates are will remain where they are, Srinji.
Essentially, what you're saying and what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the rupee is getting more widespread acceptance as a medium of exchange.
Indeed, they just did a deal with Singapore. They've done deal with quite a few South Asian as well as they've done a deal with UAE. So what they call pay now. Pay now is you go to your shop, you use your card, everything, all cards are RFID. So you say pay now, and then the Singapore dollar is converted into Indian rupee, and money is deducted from Indian rupee and settled with the merchant.
Sir, 30, 40 years ago, you actually could trade in Indian rupees in Singapore, sir. I remember going to Mustafa putting down rupees and buying stuff, sir? Is it still possible?
No, I don't think you can buy import. What you can do is you can pay in. You can use your dollars or any denominated currency and tell Mustafa, sir, can I get Indian rupees? Yeah, he will give you.
No, the other way around is what I meant. Well,
No, no, you can't buy in. I don't know. I will,
we used to
I
do that thing.
you can pay Mustafa in rupees. I don't know. Maybe you are right. I don't know. I have to claim
So,
ignorance on the topic, Sriji.
in Asia, we have US, South Korea, Japan conducting drills in response to Korea firing. This is North Korea firing ICBM missiles, and North Korea is again firing more and more. Sridharji, they they keep saying that they have nuclear payloads also. I mean, we know that North Korea, for all practical purposes, is a vassal state of China. Is this more like China testing its ammunition through in North Korea?
I think that China uses North Korea as its surrogate to keep on firing and provoking the what you call as the Western allies, which is South Korea, Japan, United States, and this Korea stuff never ends. Just like except there's no war, they never ends. He also has to keep his people distracted. He has to keep. That's the only thing that works there, which is this Korean army. So he's firing. He's like a toy. He keeps on firing his toys. Now he has stated that North Korea is the entire Pacific corridor or the skies is my theater of operation. I'll keep on firing more ballistic missiles. So where's the supply coming from? China.
Sir, look at the markets. And viewers, if you have not already liked this video, could we please request you to like this video? We're getting a very good response, but it actually needs to reach out more. Because what we tell you, mainstream media will pick up 2 days, 3 days, 4 days later. It will be with eye candy presentation, but the data, the raw data, is what you find at DGI. Sridharji, an update on the markets.
The markets the markets are a little bit tepid based on retail sales and most important, rising interest rates. They're concerned the rising interest rates means headwinds. So number one, I'll give you a second data point. The US consumer borrowing is at the highest level, 17 trillion. Is usually around the 14 to 15 trillion mark, comprising of three essential elements. One is house mortgage, second is credit card, third is auto loans. There's also student loans. But today it has reached $17 trillion. So the consumer who had surplus cash as a result of very, very generous pumping of the US balance sheet and putting money that the government didn't have into their wallets, they spent it and everything. The honeymoon is over at the end of 2022. Now they have borrowed themselves thinking that this honeymoon will continue, and it has reached 17 trillion. These are all the headwinds. Home Depot reported its earnings, but they also missed the mark and they indicated a very tepid outlook for the future. So to me, if I have, I'll finish it. If I have to advise the DGI audiences, go to fixed income from equities. If you haven't gone, move. It doesn't matter which market you are in, Australia, Europe, India, move to guaranteed fixed income. You will generate a reasonable yield. Sorry, Sriji.
Thank you, sir. No. Last question, sir. We have a few questions from the audience also. We will take a look at it. There's a ask hashtag. Viewers, my editor will pick it up. Sir, last question. There was a right sizing of salaries going on in the high-tech sector. And I have read some news items about how Wipro's new recruits got right sized from 6.5 lakhs to 3.5 lakhs. I don't know if this is monthly salary or annual salary, but 50% reduction. They said fresh incoming recruits, take it or leave it. I don't know if it's true or not, but is this continuing in the industry in US also, sir?
Well, I think that there is layoffs going on. US works on what we call a variable comp structure. You are well aware. There's a fixed salary, and then there's a bonus, right? So there's an incentive comp and a fixed comp. I think what you will see is high number of cuts in the variable comp, and even probably bonus being on moratorium for a period of time because of declining revenues from the corporates. As far as this story about 6 lakhs or 5 lakhs to 2.5, I also read in the mainstream media this proposal from the company that you have listed, sir, that you mentioned.
Yeah, so there's one question here which is interesting. I'll ask you. Srinivas Vitala wants to know: is de-dollarization really happening? Is BRICS floating an alternate currency?
Now, I think this is a lot of pundits keep on coming and speaking about this specific topic. We gave a lot of data. You go back to DGI, we gave a data on dollar volume trade, etc. I may not be alive when de-dollarization happens. Okay, I'll not be here. But today, 50% of the global volume, 50 to 52% of the global volume is trading on US dollar. Okay, number one. Then what's the next currency? Between euro and pound. Between the three of them, they make up 74%. So please imagine how much a volume shift needs to happen. Okay, how much a volume shift needs to happen to have a dent. As far as India is concerned, India recognizes US dollar is still one of the stable currencies, better than euro. So it still continues to hold more than 70% of its reserves in US dollar. So this de-dollarization that people are talking about, to me, is many pundits keep on talking. As I said, I may not see it in my lifetime. Maybe in somebody else's lifetime it may happen.
Thank you so much, Sridharji. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe. Oh, there's one more question. Narayanan KG wants to know: how will the risk affect our balance of trade with Russia?
Look, I think that it is slowly, building up. It's very small, relatively very small in volume at this current stage. I think it's less than about 11 to 12 billion dollars, even probably less than that. So it is minuscule compared to what India does with countries. So I just don't think balance of trade is a specific issue for India, but much more important to them is the strategic issue of continuing partnership. And that way, India does not push Russia into the Chinese arms. That is the whole aspect of this discussion and dialogue. They are not focusing on the balance of trade.
Mr. Lee wants to know: Russia has revived Soviet-era honorary title Mother Heroine Award for Russian women who have 10 or more children. Will it work?
Don't know, sir. I don't know. I can't answer that question. Maybe, if all the... no, I don't want to answer that question. I just want to make one observation and then I may take on the question. So why is everybody... There's a very important point we missed out, Sriji. I just want to touch on that. US delegation, US senatorial delegation landed in India. And they have said, India is a strategic partner for United States for 3 reasons. A, it's a democracy. B, it is part of the world economy, global economy. 3, it is an effective deterrence to Chinese ambitions. So they said in public, 3 reasons. The person leading this delegation is Chuck Schumer, who is the head of the Senate, leader of the Senate, and it has got a combination of these things. Now, let me give you a data point which you may not get from many people. The global economy is 94 trillion. Okay, the global economy is 94 trillion. The annual growth for this is 94 trillion at the end of 2022. The projected growth for 2023 is between 1 and 1.2 or 1.4%. So let us take 1% for simple, you all can do your own calculations. 1% is $930 billion delta. Okay, $930 billion delta. Indian economy is around 3.4 trillion. Let us say it grows at 7%. Okay, the delta of growth is $234 or $238 billion. So, what is the effective contribution of addendum to the global economy in 2023 by India is almost equal to 25%
Right.
of 934 billion. So this is the trick of the trade. Why every Tom, Dick, and Harry is rushing to India is the biggest chunk of cash. It doesn't stop in 2023. It is on its march towards the 5 trillion first, 10 trillion. So when you look at an addendum of $6.5 trillion to global economy over the next few years, India is where the market access is for capital to be deployed for generating a buck. This is the reason why people are flocking to India. Sorry, I just wanted to get this data point out, Sriji.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much. And Suresh Iyer has a question. Sridharji mentioned about move to fixed income from stocks. What is the timeline? ASAP.
Exactly. Yes, sir. And do it in small tranches. You are going to get more bang for the buck as the rates rise. You don't want
Yes.
to put everything in. As the rates rise, keep on adding. So you have a guaranteed return and a capital preservation.
Next, Magnet Ranga wants to know, US is spending money on war, which it doesn't have. How does it intend to make good?
It doesn't believe it wants to make good. It thinks that the balance sheet is a bottomless pit. So they are going to go on adding. I mean, again, we have covered in number of DGI shows. We have forecast the debt up to 2030. We have forecast the debt up to 2050. We have also forecast the interest cost that the US taxpayers at some point it will go past even the defense budget almost to 2x 1.5 trillion over the course of the next 20 years. So this is the price United States is paying. And well, you can't reduce when you reach those levels of debt, all you can do is reduce or de-accelerate, or if I use the word de-accelerate, somebody critiques, we are United States, so we use words and, according to our convenience. We're not British. So therefore, the story is that as you kind of move things, we can only stop the bleeding, but we cannot prevent the complete injury and the bleeding. The damage has been done.
Narsinga Manuada, a lot of questions today, sir. When Pakistan does not allow its airspace for Indian airlines, then they should Indus water be allowed to flow from Indian territory.
So I think that this is India-Pakistan is again a never-ending problem. I don't know why India cannot be decisive in solving these issues. They go on having this dialogue. They should simply say, okay, we are going forward. We invited you. You didn't turn up. Let's move forward. But that's diplomacy. So therefore, it's obviously there are kind of behind-the-scenes political pressures. So that's the reason why many of these global issues, including the India-Pakistan issue, remains unresolved.
Narasimha, there's a small problem. What will India do with the excess water? They needed to build that Yamuna Satluj link canal so that Satluj water can go to Yamuna and then it can feed the plains. But then what happened? Punjab doesn't want to do its side of the bargain. You have canal constructed all the way up to Haryana-Punjab border, and it is waiting for Punjab to do its side. And Punjab will never. We have waited for 40 years now. They have not done it. Unless BJP comes to power in Punjab, and maybe then it's a big if they'll do it or not. So these are the things that India does not do. So why don't you do this canal and then wait and see what happens after that? That would be a decisive moment to tell Pakistan we are serious about, reading the fine print in our Indus Water Treaty, and we will use the excess water ourselves. Today, if you have the excess water, what are you going to do with it? That's the question. So,
indeed, sir. Indeed, Shriji, India hasn't solved the Kaveri water issue. India hasn't solved the Krishna water issue. Has it solved any issue? It hasn't solved interstate border issue. It's a political kind of a football. So it's leaving some of the kind of these issues to simmer while it tries to focus on the bigger picture and tries to move the Indian agenda forward. I think some issues will remain problematic for time immemorial. And this Indus water is one issue. The China border, India-China border issue will never be kind of solved. some of these. I mean, they are trying to solve this Bangladesh, Brahmaputra, India issue, Bangladesh issue. There is a political change, you see this issue coming up again. Right now, it seems to be going on normal track. So some of these things, there seems to be no determination on each side to sit down and say, okay, this is what we give, this is what you take. This is what we give, and this is what we can take. But that's not the case.
Louis VI wants to know, why is Mr. Putin coming to India after lithium discovery? I think it is Putin, not Piat. Who's Piat, sir?
We just answered all these questions.
Yeah. Louis, I mean, they ask the questions over the course of the time, so there's always some sync difference. No problem, sir. Thank you so much. Viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Today was an extra long session, but I think it was very enriching. And I may have missed out a few line items, Sridharji, but I think the topic flowed in a way that I think people like to listen to. My fault if I miss something. And as always, I don't go by the script. Unfortunately, I subject you to this. So my apologies for that too. But viewers, please do support us. We need more people watching this program. Like I said, we are proven again and again, 48 hours to 72 hours ahead of the MSM. Many use this to pick up and write their own content. How about that? Prove me wrong. So that's what the challenge I'm throwing to some of the people who have millions of views. Thank you so much, Sridharji. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you so much, Sriji. No, you can be off the script, on the script, over the script, no issues. We'll address the issue. But sometimes, as you rightly say, we may miss few points, but that's okay. That's part of the game. But thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and wonderful evening. We look forward to seeing you either tomorrow or Thursday.
Yes, sir. Namaskar.